Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of the Indicator Store, and today we are presenting the new release of Markers 2025. Let me review where you can find all the indicators. They are as usual inside the indicator list on the folder, the Indicator Store. The indicators that form part of Markers are Markers End, Markers Constant, Markers Copy, Crossover, Logic, Markers to Plot, Markers OR, Paint, Plot to Markers, Marker Plus 2025, the old release that is included to offer compatibility with all templates, Markers Slope, and for debugging, Markers Variable Printout. As usual, I always comment the most important here is Marker Plus. The second more important is Markers Copy, because with Markers Copy we can copy the contents of a line of any indicator inside a variable. And then we have tools, like for example the crossover to detect when two lines cross one each other, the slope to detect the slope and when the slope changes from positive to negative. But let's review one of the most important settings, I think, is the trade copier option. Let me show you how it works. So I need a signal. Currently, I am connected to the simulated data feed. So I can move the market to the upside and to the downside to create fake signals. The idea is to show how we can execute the signals on one or several accounts. This connection has currently 4 accounts. Okay, so let's create the signal. And for the signal, we can use the slope of an HMA. For example, a fast HMA could be 34. Let's see. Or maybe an HMA 20. Yes. So in this case, we have a long here because this is the place where the slope changes from negative to positive. And if I want to use this line, then we can add marker plus to execute the signals. But first let's create the signal, okay? Let's use marker slope. On marker slope, we need to select which is the indicator that I want to measure. There are 3 indicators here where we use input series. They are marker slope, markers copy, and markers plot to marker, because here we are looking at a plot that is inserted on input series. Then we can create another video showing how this works. Now, on input series here, on marker slope, I want to set this line, the HMA 20. Okay. And as a visual signal, I want to paint the background in color blue and red. Okay, this is visual. I also want to create fast signals. So when it paints in blue, it also creates the fast signal go long. When it paints in red, it creates the signal go short. As we can see here, a long and a short. Now, if I want to execute those signals, we add markers. And markers by default, we select the fast signal for longs and for shorts. We still have the old method detecting objects, but now it is set as a second option because the preferred method is using fast signals, okay? Anyway, we can still work with objects, and there is an extra indicator for that, but more about that later. Now, if I want to execute go long and go short, then we need to select the account. We can select the account from here, but my suggestion is select it from the toolbar, same as on the previous version. There are no more things to select from the parameters as on the previous version. Everything must be set from the toolbar. Let's say I want to execute that. Okay, so now we need to select an ATM. Let's say, I don't know, this one, 10 versus 15. This is just a test. Now, if I enable the longs, enable the shorts, and also select the account, one of my accounts, and then I click. If you want to change the account, you select a different account on from the chart trader, and then select here. But let's say that my master account is this one, SIM 101. Okay. Then I select this to automatic, and this is the usual. When the market goes down, the histogram is negative. The histogram represents the slope of the line. When that line changes the slope to negative, we get a short. Okay, so no differences until now. Now, what happens if I have more than one account? Let's see. Let's say, let's duplicate this chart. We get an error because marker slope is trying to create a variable that is already present here. But to this, to replicate a signal, we don't need nothing on the target chart. We only need to execute orders. So the only thing that we need is marker plus. Okay, remove, and only we have markers now. Now I want to select the other account, SIM 102, select the account here, and now we can replicate this another 2 times. Okay. So SIM 102, SIM 103, and SIM 104. Let me show you some settings that we have available. For example, I don't know, you can change the toolbars. You can change the panel. Let's see a few settings, for example. Let's say this is the master account. Okay, so we can place master here and also on the panel. So on the label, we place master account. And this is visible on the indicator list and also here. This is same as before. We can also place that inside the panel here. For that, we need to show the settings for the panel, the account, okay, on the panel. But I want this on a different color. For example, panel in color cyan. Yes, it is more visible. Okay. And also the toolbar. Let's make the toolbar more visible. The toolbar is, the background is white. Let's make it black. Okay. We need to change the letters in maybe pink or white. You can choose any color. Let's use black and white for the master. Okay. And now we can do the same with the rest. For example, on this one, we can place account 102, etc. Also on the panel here, we can change everything from the panel, and also we can turn off the panel if you don't want to show this panel because maybe you need several toolbars. This is also another option, having several markers instances on the same chart. I don't like this way, but you can turn off this panel and also the trigger info. From trigger info, don't show panel. Okay, so now nothing here, so you can overlap several toolbars. But I prefer having everything visible like this. And well, the same for the rest. We can change colors, etc. But let's go to the execution of the orders. Until now, everything seems to be equal. And when one signal is executed, the signal is detected by this indicator, the marker slope. And usually it is executed on the markers that is closer to the indicator, usually here, but not always. Let's see what happens now.
Order filled.
Okay, can you see the signal was created here, but executed on this panel? That's normal, and this is what usually was happening on the previous releases of marker because there's no order control. Even more, you can see that the
Target filled.
PNL is updated on these markers, not on the rest. Okay, all the others are on 0. Let's create another signal going down. Just for checking that the chart executing the orders is usually random, not always
Order filled.
this. Again, this chart, but this can differ. And even if you click on close on another chart, nothing happens because this markers has no trade. Only this one has a trade.
Order filled.
So these markers can close its position. Again, this close is for this marker's instance. If you press the close from NinjaTrader, it closes everywhere. Now, what's new then? Well, we need on markers to enable the trade copier option because usually markers when executes an order, it deletes the signal. Okay, so the first markers executing the order is deleting the signal, so nobody else is going to execute that order. Now, if on these markers we enable the trade copier mode, we need to do the same everywhere. So none of these charts is going to remove the signal. So everyone is executing but not removing. So enable, same here, enable trade copier, and same here. So now, when a signal is created by this indicator, all the rest of the markers that are looking at go long are going to execute an order in the selected account with the selected ATM. And the account and the ATM can be different. That's also another feature, because this is not like a trade copier that is copying orders. This trade copier is copying setups. So there is a signal, each one execute that signal with its own parameters. Let's see what happens. And also we can check the P&Ls. This one has not executed nothing. Also this one. And here we have trades executed on this chart and on this chart.
Order filled.
Okay, so all the markers have executed the order. By the way, the field cannot be the same because each one is detecting the signal and trying to execute. On this case is 825, 825. Yes, no, this one is different. 4875. 2 ticks of difference
Target
on the
filled.
main chart. Okay,
Target
so
filled.
this chart is taking longer to reach the target because the entry was 2 ticks worse than the rest, even taking into account that the signal was created on this chart. Okay, now go to the downside. When one of these markers reach a limit or has a filter or a time window, it is not executing.
Order filled.
Because each one has its own trade management. You can move the target here without affecting the other setups. Okay, each setup is independent.
Target filled.
And you can close this
Order
one
filled.
or close this
Order
one,
filled.
close
Order
this one,
filled.
and so on. Each P&L is different, and when you reach the maximum daily loss or daily profit, that instance stop trading. Okay, so this is one of the most important features, and I am showing this on separate chart because in my opinion it is easier to understand what is going on, but you know everything can be on the same chart. Okay, it is complex, but it is possible. Let me show you. Let's say I want to execute these markers on sim 102. Okay, so I don't want that here. Remove. Let me remove from everywhere. Remove and remove. So now those charts are showing different accounts, but there are no indicators, nothing. Now I can place all the markers on this chart. So I control everything from one chart. So I need to place one marker, in fact, 3 markers, 3 extra markers. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can change the settings, the color. Let's change the colors. So this one is, and also enable trade copier. Enable trade copier. The panel in a different color, for example, cyan. It is everything on the same panel, so we don't want to show the panel. And we don't want to show the trigger, because in this case it is equal, but just to avoid no showing trigger, no showing panel. The second, also enable the trade copier, show the panel settings, different color, for example, this one, and also don't show the panel, don't show the trigger. And finally, this one. Enable the trade copier, enable the panel settings, which color? Maybe green. Let's see how it looks. Okay, a lot of colors. Now, if there are no errors, I need to select. This is account number 1, account number 2 on the cyan, account number 3 on the green, and account number 4 on the red. Okay. Now enable longs and shorts everywhere. And I need to select a valid ATM. Let's use the same. Okay, so all are doing exactly the same. Now, if I don't forgo, if I enable the trade copier on all the markers instances, this signal should execute on the 4 markers at the same time, but each marker is looking at a different account. And I can see trades on this account and on these other 3 charts. Let's see. I forgot to disable one panel.
Order filled.
This is SIM 101 here. Okay. And I forgot to enable those. So let's fix that. This is the master.
Target filled.
What else? I don't want to show the panel. No, it is not showing the panel. Not showing the panel. Not showing the panel and the trigger. Okay? Perfect. And I can place just a reminder that this is the slave for 102. Slave 102. This is the slave for 104. And finally 103. Okay. Now I need to enable automatic, and automatic. Okay, the panel is from the master. The rest are not having panel or trigger info. And what we see here, the PNL from the master is also visible on the toolbar. The same for the rest of the markers instances. Now, when the market moves to the downside, we should get an order on SIM 101, SIM 102, SIM 104, and SIM 103.
Order filled.
Okay? And from here, I can control which one I close.
Order filled.
This,
Order filled.
this,
Order
this,
filled.
and
Order
this.
filled.
Okay? I don't like this method, but you can control everything from here. But don't forget that what you see is what you have selected here. Let me show you an example. Now we are going to be long, and they can be used in different ATMs or different exit conditions,
Order filled.
or different filters. So let's say that this is a bigger target. Also bigger here, and also greater here. Now, what I see on this chart, okay, what I see on this chart is SIM 102. If I change, now I see SIM 102, this. And if I change the account, now I see, but I cannot see all together, okay? I can only see the positions of the selected account on NinjaTrader. But anyway, it is possible, it works, okay? Also, it is possible, I don't see why you will need, but it is also possible to trade the same account or from different markers. For example,
Order filled.
maybe I want to trade one setup with two different ATMs on the same account. So I can place two markers and
Order filled.
they work in this mode in Trade Copier, and one is trading the same account, the same instrument, but one with one ATM and the other with another. Okay, everything is possible. Okay, this is for the Trade Copier function, and also I also did we also saw how to configure the settings of the
Target
toolbar.
filled.
Okay, so maybe we can add another option. Let's here we have 4 setups working, right? Okay. Now, what if I want on this chart having an idea of what is happening on this setup? Let's go back to only one chart, okay? I don't like this color. I prefer the cyan is, in my opinion, is better. So I am going to keep that one. Okay. And let's change the name, showing the panel. Okay, perfect. Now let's work on one account only. Now, what if I want to know if this instance is long, short, for how many contracts, etc. Now we can create a variable with markers. Now we have these markers. No, let's replace this by marker 2025. Okay. And let's say that the name is inside markers. We have an option to export the settings by creating a variable. Okay. For example, I don't know, strat. Now, when I have a position, now I need to have a position, and let's decrease the number of unused charts, because what I want to explain
Order filled.
is more than enough then it is executing on sim 102. Okay, sim 102, we can see the orders. Now let's make the market to keep sideways, not moving. Now from another chart, maybe I want to know if this strategy is long, short, because I have another setup working on another chart and I don't want to enter long or short or whatever if my other setup is already working. So
Order filled.
which are the variables available? Okay, let's make it go to the upside forever. It is not visible here, but they are the target. So we created the variable strat on this marker. Let's see what we have. So, to draw a variable, we can use markers paint, marker logic. Let's use markers paint. The name of the logic, the variable was strat. Okay. And I want to draw, let's use dots. Cyan or blue, something visible and big. Okay. Just to avoid any scale problems, let's use a different panel, not on the same panel, on a new panel. Okay. Now you can see that here we have 0, flat, -1, it means the strategy was short in one contract. That -1 is one contract. Okay, and now currently it is one position. Okay, but so now from another logic, another filter, another setup, I can now I know what is doing this strategy or any strategy because I assign a name for each one of them. So let's say, for example, that I want to keep watching variable because this is not the only variable. We created strat, but let's add another paint, or let's copy and paste so it is easier. Select, right click and copy. And select, right click and paste. Now I have two markers paint. And let's view another variable. So we have strat dot end from entry. Okay. And now we can see this is the entry point. There was nothing before. Okay. Previously it was 0. Now the entry point is the price where this strategy entered. Okay. Just to have an idea, let's see that the market reverses. Okay, so it should change the state from 1 to -1 and the entry price by something near this value, I think. Okay, we need this histogram to break the 0 level. So we should get a short more or less here. Well, it is not executing more orders because, okay, let's remove those limits. 5,000, okay, it's impossible to reach. And now enter long again. Currently we are flat, 0, and the number of contracts is 0. Okay, we need to break the 0 level.
Order filled.
And there we have it. Okay. Now we are again with one contract positive because we are long, and also the position is at the entry point. So from another chart or from the same chart, we have idea of what is doing the other setup. But there are more variables. Let's copy and paste again. Because we have target and stop also. So not only the name of the strategy, the name of the variable. We have dot end from entry, dot target TGT, and dot STP from stop. STP. Everything this is on the manual, don't worry. And now you have an idea where are the targets. Even if I move my target from my main chart, if I move my target from my main chart, everything is updated everywhere because this variable is global, the same for the stop. Okay? Let's say that now the market reverses. So my position should change to this point. Let's see. So this positive one contract in long should go to negative one short. The position should update and also the targets and the stops. Bad idea to use the same color for the target and the stop, but they should switch.
Order filled.
Okay, now we are reversed. I am going to move my target and my stop. We can see the initial stop here, this dot. Each time I move my stop or my target, these variables update the value. If I close my position,
Order filled.
same. Let's say I have a bigger contract size, I don't know, maybe six contract. Going long. So now we can check here. It should go to 6. At the moment, we switch. Oh, sorry, I forgot to select here.
Order filled.
Perfect. Now we have 6 contracts, and we have here 6 contracts. And when I reach target 1,
Target filled.
now 5 contracts. Now when I reach target 2,
Target filled.
3, 4 contracts, and so on. Okay, so we have an idea
Target filled.
of
Target filled.
the current
Target
position.
filled. Target filled.
And now we are flat, 0. Okay, so we have full control about the status of any setup from the same chart or from a different chart. I guess we have covered the most important, because with this you can create a lot of complex trade setup. But on another video, I am going to explain how to use the plot to marker and also the marker to plot. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.